Right, so we got Taste of London Festival next week, and I've been invited to cook on the fire pit, and I couldn't think of anything better to cook over that fire would be char siu roast pork. Now I'm going to do recipe testing in the kitchen with the guys, but I'm going to show them how to cook it in an oven, which is probably a lot easier for you guys back home. So let's jump into the kitchen. Cool. Right, so we've got some pork neck. This is my favourite piece of pork to use for the char siu because you've got this sort of fattiness that goes through it, which is perfect for the meat not to dry out. I'm just going to slice it along the grain, just along here. To get into smaller pieces, this will make it cook quicker and marinate a lot quicker. So you'll end up with pieces like this. Right, lay them in a tray like that. Wash my hands, 1 second. Right, the next thing for the char siu is the marinade. Very, very important. So we've got this fermented red bean curd, which comes in this pretty adorable little ceramic, a little bag like that. Just gonna be really careful when I open this because I don't want that to get over my nice t-shirt. So this is gonna give that char siu the amazing red color when it cooks. I'll be really careful, don't want to get this all over the place. And what we're going to do is put that into a bowl and have equal amounts of this, the sesame paste and hoisin sauce. So I'm measuring that out to 1, 2, 5, there we go. I'm going to save that in there later on. Super cute. Give that a little smush. So you've got these cubes of fermented tofu in this lovely rich red colour. I'm just going to give it a little gentle mash up. I know you don't like the sound of metal spoons on metal bowls, so I'm being really careful. Alright. Next in, the hoisin. A little wash. Equal amounts. And again, some hoisin can contain red colouring, and that's also gives that char siu that red colour that most people probably are used to seeing in, like, when the roast meat's hanging in the Chinese shop. You can add red colouring to this, but I prefer not to because I'm not a big advocate for colouring, food colouring. Right, next up is some sesame sauce. So this is blended up roasted sesame seeds. So I'm going to be careful not to flick this all over me. There we go. We want to get that lovely sesame, that blended sesame at the bottom there. That's going in. There we go. Right, good pinch of salt. Chinese 5-spice. I'm going to give that a really good mix. And just lather the marinade over the meat. I'll get my hands involved in a minute. But I am going to set aside some of this marinade. Completely cover that meat in that marinade. Okay, so I got some pork marinated for 8 hours. It's a different piece, but we wanted to cut some time here. And we're going to put it onto a roasting rack with a tray underneath. So what will happen as it roasts, all that marinade will drip to the bottom. You could put a piece of foil or something underneath if you want to catch all of that stuff, but don't worry about the extra marinade. So that is ready to go in the oven at 200 degrees, I'd say. Right, pork's ready, it's going in. Right, so that's going to be in the oven. We're going to keep an eye on it like a hawk, and we are looking for that skin to get really nice and blistery, like slightly blackened. I've saved some of the marinade. We're going to make now the dressing to go, the glaze to go over the top of it. Some caster sugar. We're going to bring it to a boil in some water. And I got this maltose, which I struggled to get the lid off earlier. So I've softened it in some boiling water in a container. You can put this in the microwave to soften it. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of that in there. And this glaze is we're going to brush it over the meat, and it's going to give that super rich, lovely, glazy, glossy shine to it. Right, we're going to bring this to a boil. And I'm going to add in that reserved marinade that we had earlier. That's come to a boil now, so I'm just going to let that sort of reduce a little bit until it gets really sticky. Oh yeah, look at that. Pretty sticky. Just to get this super delicious, I'm going to dip it in there, that syrup. Wow. Look at that meat. Normally I let this hang and drip, but just for the process I want to get this ready for the staff meal today. Slice through. And you'll end up with this succulent pork. Just look at that, how juicy that is. You can use any other cut of meat like the pork fillet or pork shoulder, but this is really my favourite one because you can see how juicy this meat is, and I've not even used any artificial colouring. I'm going to serve this with some coconut rice, maybe some turmeric pickled vegetables, and that is ready for the team. That's going to be a really happy team. So hit that like button, share if you like this dish, and subscribe to the channel, and you'll see more next week.